Well, I'm Jonathan Worsley, and I am here with Achim Schmitt. Achim is Dean of the EHL Business Hospitality Business School. Achim, lovely to have you with us.
Thank you, Jonathan. Lovely to be with you.
Now, on this FHS podcast, it's a real delight to have Achim on. My son went to EHL a number of years ago, and so I got to know intimately then. And of course, in my early days when launching IHIF, EHL were an enormous partner of ours. And of course, we had our advisory board in competitions. Well, our advisory board at EHL every year, of course, and competitions in Lausanne. So absolute pleasure to have you on this podcast.
Likewise.
Just a little bit of background. I think it's interesting just to quickly do a snapshot of EHL and the size of it, the importance of it for our industry as well. But you've got 26,000 alumni across 150 countries, forming a fabulous network for students who go through the EHL system. You're constantly or consistently ranked number one in the hospitality management education worldwide, according to various sources. And you've got campuses in, of course, Switzerland, Singapore, and with this whole extensive online learning programs. Also, what I think is interesting is your collaboration with industry partnerships. I think it's around 5,000 plus companies for placements and internships with companies. And certainly we've taken on interns from EHL, and some of our team members have gone through the EHL network as well. And lastly, the innovation and sustainability. Your programs embed, obviously, sustainability, tech, and entrepreneurship across your curriculum. And that's particularly interesting. And I want to get onto that later about what you're doing on that tech space. But before we kick off, a little bit about you and where you've come from to pursue a career in education.
So thanks, Jonathan, for having me. And it's a pleasure to be with you on this podcast. It is also a big thank you for your trust in the education needs of your son. I hope we didn't disappoint you. And given that we have this exchange, I think we did a good job. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this conversation. So thanks a lot for your trust in that regard. The first thing that I would like to say about me is, like, I'm not traditionally from the industry. I have used the service as a means to an end during my studies to finance my studies. I studied in Germany. I was born and raised in Bavaria. And the link that we have in our family is that we have a brewery from the 12th century. So we brew in Bavaria our own beer. And you could tell always on the pictures, in our family pictures, who's actually from the industry, that as the typical shape, and who's not from the industry. So I was not part of the family business. It's a cousin that still runs this. But if you know a little bit about the beer industry, it's a tough industry, especially after COVID. But that was a little bit the link that I had since my studies and since my family ties to the industry. It was always something that I was very interested and intrigued by. And I think I was for 8 months on minimum salary in Washington, D.C. when I was a sandwich artist at Subway when I needed to finance my studies in the U.S. even. So I started, however, my career. I came on the job market in 2001, and I started my career as a bankruptcy and turnaround consultant, and was 3.5 years in a German consulting firm that was specializing in turnarounds. And what I found very interesting was that if you have a manufacturing firm versus a service or a hospitality firm, I think service and hospitality turnarounds are super tough when it comes in comparison to manufacturing firms. In manufacturing firms, you have assets and a certain capital that is in stock that you can liquidate and you can work with. In service, the main stock you have are your employees. And what we know about the news and the articles we read when it's a crisis and when you are in a downturn, often where you cut is on your human resource expenditures. So in that regard, I found it very fascinating how you can make service turnarounds and a success. And I always compare it that you change tires on a moving car. So you need somehow to find ways how to keep employees motivated and associated with a new vision for the company while you go through a restructuring and cost cuts. And striking that balance and finding the means to an end to keep HR engaged and involved was always very fascinating when I did this in practice. And it wasn't very well done in practice, if I'm very honest, but I wanted to find out more. And I started my PhD at the University in Geneva exactly on the topic on innovation and growth and the human element during turnarounds. And when I came out of my PhD thesis, somehow I was not sure if I should get back to the industry or if I should stay in academia. And then I decided to go to the US to gain a little bit experience at Columbia Business School, and then afterwards at a school in France. And I loved the educational part of it, to sharing knowledge and to sharing the aspects that create knowledge further. And when then EHL asked me in 2013 to join, and to help them to create a portfolio of master's programs, I didn't hesitate a second because I knew about EHL and EHL and its location and its heritage. So I was a little bit intrigued about the service element and doing service education and reposition the school as well in as a serious player in the master's and executive education programs. So that's how I started my journey at EHL. It's been now 12 years, and it is as decisions that I have, honestly, Jonathan, never regretted so far.
How fascinating. Thank you for that snippet on your earlier life and moving into education. What I'd be interested to understand is, since joining EHL the last 12 years, have you seen a shift in the attitudes from industry looking at hospitality, and how has that shift? How has that moved? How has that whole hospitality service moved forward within, let's say, manufacturing?
I think what we have realized is that the definition of hospitality changed fundamentally. So what was in the past, what hospitality was defined always by an industry. And what we realized since 10 years is that hospitality is not bound by industry. Hospitality is a concept with competences that is probably applicable to a multitude of industries. And you see this in the economy, that industry boundaries are basically coming down and industries are, with digitalization, kind of overlapping. And this has happened the same with the traditional hospitality industry, where hospitality concept and competences are much more finding ways in other industries, such as luxury, such as retail, such as real estate or banking. And that we have realized very much also by our alumni. You mentioned our big alumni. It's actually more than 30,000 in the meantime that we have. And lots of our talent is actually attracted by other industries because of the competences they bring and the client and customer intersection and loyalty and experiences they can create. So the look of hospitality, if you think about it, and the value of hospitality in other industries has actually increased a lot compared to the traditional hospitality industry perception.
And has it been a challenge for EHL to keep those students that graduate from EHL into the hotel industry, hospitality industry, as it were, the traditional word for it, or are you quite relaxed about that now in terms of allowing or wanting your graduates to go into industry generally?
Our proximity and our vision in the future needs to be aligned with the needs of the hospitality industry. If we are too much away from this, I think we are losing also our core competences and our competitive advantage and our edge. So in that regard, we always care about the industry and we always serve the hospitality industry first and foremost. And we are very happy that other industries pick up our competences and our solutions. So when it comes now to catering the talents to the industry and are we relaxed about it? I think we would be very worried if everybody we have in our university is going into other industries and nobody would like to cater to careers in the hospitality industry. But it is a fact that the competition for our talents in particular is increasing, and the competitive offer that we have from other industries towards our students is in a free market where our students are sometimes torn between, am I not going into the family business or am I gaining experience? What the good thing is that most of our students are passionate at heart about hospitality, and they will in their career path often end up back into the hospitality industry. So in that regard, we of course promote the industry, but leave it as a choice for our students where to go. If we would not be attractive in finding solutions, and you mentioned also our industry partnerships, we consciously create attractive industry partnerships and careers with industry partners in the hospitality industry to fuel talent into the industry. And we are probably trying in that way also to make the industry more attractive.
Well, we certainly need that for our industry. So that's good to hear. That there's a you're retaining that focus, of course. But how do you maintain that leadership, that global leadership in hospitality education? You've got a 130-year legacy, and how does that excite you about shaping the industry's future? And what are you doing to create that, to retain that legacy?
Yeah, I think the word legacy and heritage is a big word. So we don't see education as a business. We see education as a privilege. Having somebody entrusting us with the educational needs of the son or the daughter is literally in today's world a huge privilege, and we take this very serious. And we invest a lot in our student experience inside and outside of the classroom. As you know, that's why also we invested 250 million into our flagship campus in Lausanne to make sure that we have a very state-of-the-art hospitality education for our students, as well as we have high demands for our faculty to keep up the standards. And in that regard, we consciously also went into the international accreditations game and recognition game of accreditation bodies that are independent in the industry that monitor and evaluate our educational standards at EHL. What we believe is that education, first and foremost, is not only about the theory. We call it always, we want to educate the hands, the heads, and the hearts of our students. And it's a holistic educational model that we have that allows us to not only look unidimensional on a competence and a hospitality experience and a future hospitality professional, but what we want is that we have individuals that are fulfill the operational needs, that they can also go and advance the industry in managerial careers, as well as that have the passion that you need for that industry. And when you have those students inside of your educational journey, it is very interesting what happens when you stay close to the industry and work a lot with industry, because the matching is you have faculty, students, and industry that come together and try to solve problems. And we try to consciously create these experience in our classrooms where we say, like, okay, let's make this practical, let's work with industries. That actually creates a very good, innovative educational model that is always shaped by industry needs and industry advancements. And in that regard, we don't think that we can innovate and shape educational solutions alone. We need to be very clear is also with academic partnerships and industry partnerships to find competences that match. And with that, we can advance and create an exciting and innovative journey for our students. And if we do this well, we will pick up the current demands and problems in the industry. It demands a lot from our faculty, demands a lot from ourselves. We don't want to replicate too often the same thing. We really want to keep them on the edge to evolve and to adapt year over year the student journey and the student experience.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about what you're doing to perhaps change the perceptions of the hospitality industry when it comes to graduates, so that they can thrive in today's industry. Because there is this dilemma, isn't there, with the industry and retaining talent, and of course, especially after the pandemic. So, how do you think the perception is changing, and how are you changing it?
So it links a little bit to what I said before, but I think overall, if you look at the overall figures, Jonathan, think about burnout rates, loneliness, depression studies, everything that happened after COVID. I strongly believe, and that's also what I will talk about at FHS, is that hospitality is a little bit an antidote to loneliness. I really label it like this. It's an antidote to loneliness. And I feel like what we see more and more with digitalization, I'm a big supporter of certain digital solutions, but I'm very aware also in the educational formats and in my private life and with the hoteliers that I speak to, that digitalization has its limits, still has its limits, and I feel that the human effect of the digital effect on human beings is often sometimes underestimated. And hospitality, the creation of a welcoming feeling, the creation of catering to your needs, and the individualization of a service towards you to make you feel valued and to make you feel special from time to time is a unique skill set that I believe our industry has and can promote it into other industries and the hospitality industry. And I think this hospitality concept, if you think about now future careers, I'm not so worried that if the hospitality industry takes care of this talent and takes care of a lobby today is a place for people to connect. A restaurant is a moment to slow down and to maybe appreciate and to think a little bit about what's happening in your life and to see certain details that somebody is servicing you a nice meal is really a nice experience, and it's a human experience. And I think in the end of the day, if we all recognize the importance of hospitality as a means to an end for a new industry, for a new experience, and not only to create a service standard, but create a competitive advantage for certain companies, then I think the value of these jobs will also rise in the industry. And in that regard, once we acknowledge this in the future and we acknowledge those individuals that make the little extra and create customer experiences that create customer loyalty and brand recognition, I think that's something that more and more players realize that will play a role, and also what our students realize, that they have that edge. The question is now, where do these students go, whether or not they are entering immediately into the hospitality markets, or if other industries will steal our talent. And that is a big question for hospitality companies to answer, and also for educators like us to answer. How can we make the entry jobs more attractive, and how can we promote? I think hospitality still is the biggest growth market and has the biggest career progression in the market. And I think we should much more talk about what career progression you have in this industry. We all know that the initial years are tough, but the career progression and the experience you have, plus the role that this plays in a future digitalized world, is probably for me the right angle to promote much more the perception of hospitality jobs in the future. And if we believe that the hospitality economy will play a big economic role, I believe that we are in the pole position to cater to these industries.
Yeah, you've made some very valid points, and I like your comment about it's the antidote to loneliness, our industry, and I think there's a lot to play on that as well. But there's some big numbers as well. We created 330 million jobs in 2024, and we're projected to employ 449 million by 2034. But yet there's such challenges, isn't there? We do a lot of work in Saudi and the UAE with our FHS events, and we're always pushing. We always have those educational sessions. This year in Saudi, because it's one of their big issues, we had a whole afternoon talking about education and how the private sector and the public sector can work together, and the education sector coming along and what do they need. How do you see that with industry? And is industry getting behind this gap that we're going to have in staffing for the industry?
If I have a solution to the talent shortage in the industry, I would literally happily communicate it and apply it everywhere that we have. I think you correctly said that this cannot be a single silver bullet solution. It needs to come back from different stakeholders that need to work together in finding a formula how to staff and fulfill those staffing needs that you have, in particular in the Middle East, with the jobs created, as well as in the end of the day, you don't want also too much in and out. You want to have local talent and local skills to be developed to have an authentic experience. So how do you upskill that, and how do you make sure that you have in every level a workforce that can cater to the needs of the industry is a big question to answer. But I believe that we as educators need to play a bigger role that we do at the moment. I think we consider this maybe too traditional in the way how we educate. I think we need to have much more flexible digital solutions also on the job to help staff up. Because when we staff workforce, consider a bachelor or a master's, Jonathan, nobody can wait 3-5 years to have a manager position in if you need the talent today, you need to find a solution for the talent and today. So how do we staff this? I think it comes a lot with flexible educational solutions that we need to implement. And we need to design those flexible solutions also with industry players to make sure that talent stays into the company and not leaves immediately. And I always try to convince the hospitality partners, because they always say, like, look, there's always the argument, I don't want to invest in someone that leaves after 6 months again. But I always consider what is worse than a trained employee leaving is to have a non-trained employee stay. So I believe the industry is so much evolving in the future that we need those talents and that we need to educate those individuals on the job. And we as educators are asked to find ways together with industries and governments to create flexible training solutions that are recognized for future careers and allow us to be much more flexible in feeding into these needs. So I think this is how we as an educator approach this, how to find now and make it more attractive. I think there's also a little bit, if I'm honest, industry structural problem. If I'm very honest, I feel like the current industry structure is not in favor of those solutions. So if you look at the industry structure, we have this separation of the asset light model, the separation of the asset and the investment. Then you have the operator and the brand sometimes as well separated. There are a lot of investors wanting an ROI out of a certain business model in the hospitality setup that doesn't allow much investment for the human capital. So I am a big promoter of asset light and human capital rich. I think if you start finding ways to keep an asset light model and a human capital rich model and you combine it, probably the ROI in the long term will be much higher than it is today. And once we make that claim and we make the understanding of having teams and having service teams, if you replace a service team that is broken a good functioning service team to replace it. It takes you 1 or 2 years easily to train them on that level of a good service team before. If you take all the opportunity costs in that respect and the customer loyalty, I strongly believe there's, even from an economic ROI investment decision, it's better to invest in talent and to invest in an educational solution with the help of the industry player than having the current model where you have talent leaving.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. One of the things I mentioned at the beginning was innovation and technology, which is a big focus for you, EHL. Tell us a little bit about how you, as EHL, are taking a lead in looking at transformation. I mean, we're seeing what's happening every day with AI and how that's transforming the way we work. What are you doing at EHL to adopt the latest technology, be it personalization of the guest experience, et cetera, to move forward, to move the industry forward?
So in the entire digitalization race, I'm pretty sure that this will disrupt the way how we do business today, and we will find much newer and more effective business models in the future with also a P&L that is probably also looking differently in certain segments of the hospitality industry. So I'm pretty sure that this will be big in the future. What we have decided is, how do we want to enter into this digitalization game, and we had a lot of discussions about it. Where should we get the competencies, and how do we see ourselves in a more digitalized world? And in all those discussions, what I found very interesting is that you need to understand who you are and what you want to become. And what we don't want to become is an MIT of hospitality digitalization. I think MIT or other schools are much better in this. We are still a hospitality business school. We know where we stand, and we don't need to create the latest digital solutions and know-hows that such tech companies do it. We need to work with them to understand their application and how they can improve customer and hospitality services at large. So we are not ignoring those trends, but we are doing research on those trends with them, and we are investing into the application of digitalization, but we are not becoming an MIT in the future, where we lose completely our hospitality background and our human connection. So our mission will be in the future to create meaningful human interactions. And this is also how we want to enter into the digitalization game. Everything that is linked to improving and increasing human interactions, that's something where we stand behind. And how do we resolve this? I think similar to what we have done for 130 years. I just came back from China, Hainan, where we launched a new initiative. We created a research hub and a technology hub, innovation hub for human digitalization and human experiences in digitalization. So we work with companies and do research with our faculty on future service experiences and service solutions. We want to apply them into the classroom and into real-life experiences, where we can gain data and make sure that our students become tech-savvy and are comfortable with the usage of digitalization to improve the human experiences. And we also look into elements where it can improve certain service standards and maybe replace human elements. But what we want to be sure is that we don't want to replace the human element out of the entire hospitality service chain. We want to use it as to increase human interaction and touch points. And in that regard, I think the future competences that we train is to become tech savvy and how to can interpret data and make sure how to find data and think about data. And then it's all about creativity, finding new products or services and applying service solutions for your employees. And that can only come with a problem-oriented mindset, with cultural agility, with teamwork, with know-how and exchanges. So I think that if you do this correctly, then a storytelling element of hospitality will remain. And that's why people probably also pay for an exceptional service, because it's at the end the human that makes a difference and not the digital technological solution that you have.
Oh, exactly. And I think this is just a terribly exciting time to be in the industry as well, because we can really use this technology to enhance that whole service experience, which is what people are wanting. And going back to your comment about the antidote to loneliness. So I think it all fits together really, really well, actually. Now, I think we're going to be kicked off this lovely podcast, Achim, very shortly. But I did want to ask you one question, one final question. So, what advice would you give students and young professionals entering our industry, and especially going into high growth markets like the Middle East? What sort of recommendations would you give to them?
First and foremost, I would congratulate them. I think hospitality is one of the best careers that they have, and it's one of the most fascinating and exciting careers and career opportunities that they will have. So I'm pretty sure whatever comes in the future, they will have success, whether it's within the hospitality industry or outside. But I believe hospitality skills and competences will be critical in any industry in the future, given the current trends that we have. And when it now comes to the hospitality industry's experiences and career opportunities in the Middle East, that's when I look at the KSA, at UAE and Qatar, every time the concepts and the projects they have, they are so fascinating, and they're combining tradition, authenticity, hospitality standards, and new innovation models. So I have a lot of hope for the Middle East at large, that it won't be a copy paste, hopefully, of certain hospitality concepts. I hope that there will be new concepts coming out, more sustainable concepts as well, and innovative concepts that include digital solutions and also eco-friendly solutions and socially friendly solutions. So I think for them, they should have an open mind. I think they should never, I always say, don't follow the money initially, follow great people, follow great mentors that you see where your passion lies, explore, stick a little bit with the industry and give it a chance, because the industry has certain rough patches and rough moments, but they make you grow as a person and grow as an individual. And once you discover the beauty of this industry, I guarantee you that it will be hard to find any other industry that matches that type of passion, experience, and growth trajectory that you have in the hospitality industry. So I'm just wishing them the best of luck, and I hope in whatever they do that they stay true to themselves and have joy and fun in what they do.
I think you nailed it there. Follow your passion. Don't follow the money. That will come later. It's a thoroughly enjoyable industry. It's hard work, but very enjoyable. Achim, great to have you with us, and I look forward to seeing you at FHS in end of October.
Very, very proud to be partnered with the FHS, and we are excited about the concepts we will discover and the little competition that we have with the hospitality professionals at FHS. And I don't want to take too much away from our speech and why we decided to join, but we are very excited to be with you in FHS in Dubai, and look forward to meeting not only you, Jonathan, but great hospitality leaders and individuals.
Fantastic. Achim, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us, and also for being part of my journey as well for the last 25 years. Working with EHL. So much appreciated. And thank you for this podcast.
Thank you, Jonathan. And see you soon.